7 creepiest archaeological discoveries that challenge everything we know about human history. Hello, and welcome to the Ancient History Channel. Have you ever wondered if beneath the ordinary ground we walk on every day, there might be secrets buried that could completely change the way humanity sees history? This isn't science fiction. It's about real archaeological discoveries that have left even the most seasoned scientists questioning everything, asking in disbelief, how could this be possible? From mysterious structures whose purposes remain unknown, to artifacts that far surpass the technological capabilities of the eras they came from, archaeology has never ceased to amaze and shock us. What's truly remarkable is that these discoveries aren't in textbooks, nor are they commonly taught in schools. They are unsolved puzzles, forgotten fragments of history waiting to be pieced back together. In today's video, I'll take you on a journey to uncover 7 of the strangest archaeological discoveries ever found around the world. These mysteries not only challenge our current scientific understanding, but also raise a much bigger question. Do we really understand our own past? And you know what? One of these mysteries might be buried not too far from where you live. So are you ready? Buckle up your imagination, because the journey to unravel the unimaginable is about to begin. Mass grave, hiding the darkest secrets of the Nazi regime. A quiet forest, shaded by trees and seemingly at peace, but just beneath that layer of earth lies a haunting truth that history once tried to bury. Here, it's not only the roots of trees that stretch deep underground, but also remnants of pain, scattered bones and personal belongings left behind by hundreds of thousands of people, wiped from existence without a single goodbye. And it all began with an archaeological excavation described by many as a journey to confront pure evil. The place we're talking about is Treblinka, one of the 3 largest extermination camps ever built by the Nazis during World War II. Between 1942 and 1943, in just 15 months, this place became one of the most horrifying killing machines in human history. Approximately 700,000 to 900,000 Jewish people and 2,000 Romani people were murdered here, primarily through gas chambers filled with deadly poison. And then, as the tide of war began to turn in favor of the Allies, the Nazis, desperate to erase all evidence of their crimes, destroyed the entire camp. They flattened the area, burned all documents, incinerated the corpses, and even planted trees over the ruins in an attempt to bury the past, as if they had done nothing wrong. But history cannot stay buried forever. Nearly 64 years later, in 2007, a British forensic archaeologist named Caroline Sturdy-Calls visited the site where Treblinka once stood. She didn't come just as a researcher, she came with the deep conviction that silence must be broken, no matter how long it has lasted. Caroline believed that even if no visible traces remained above ground, the truth was still there, hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. With official permission to conduct a survey, Caroline and her team used LiDAR technology, a laser-based terrain scanning method that creates 3D maps of what lies underground, all without digging in the traditional way. Within just the first 5 hours, the lower jawbone of a child was found, leaving the entire team in stunned silence. Can you imagine that? A tiny, fragile bone. A silent witness to an unspeakable crime the world once tried to forget. Caroline, outraged, said, "I felt very angry. That was a human bone. It was horrifying." But that was only the beginning. In the days that followed, her team uncovered more than 40 sets of human remains, along with personal items, wedding rings, necklaces, buttons, all that remained of lives erased in anonymity. And most significantly, they identified a series of mass graves, exactly the kind of evidence the Nazis tried so hard to erase from history. But instead of being buried in oblivion, these bones are now speaking out, silent witnesses that no one can deny. If you're wondering why this discovery matters so much, consider the millions of other victims sent to death camps like Treblinka, Auschwitz, or Belzec, people who were not only stripped of life, but of memory itself. Excavations like this one aren't just about recovering history. They are a final sacred act of restoring dignity to those who were lost. What's deeply admirable about Caroline is that she never treated this like a typical archaeological dig. To her, every bone, every object found was a voice, a story, demanding to be heard. She stated firmly, "If the Nazis thought they had erased all evidence of their crimes, they were wrong. As a forensic archaeologist, it is my duty to uncover the truth, and in doing so, perhaps offer some comfort to the souls of those who perished." And what about you? What do you think, knowing that beneath your very footsteps might lie the traces of a crime once buried in silence? Can the truth ever be hidden forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The mummy Chinese immigrant in Peru. In the heart of bustling Lima, where modern skyscrapers rise and crowd the skyline, a silent mystery has resurfaced from beneath the ground. Not inside a museum or a famous archaeological site, but just under 3 feet of earth, archaeologists made a stunning discovery. 3 mummified bodies resting in old wooden coffins believed to belong to Chinese immigrants from the 19th century. At first glance, this might seem like just another archaeological find. But the story behind it is a deeply moving reflection of those who left their homeland, crossed oceans in search of a better life, only to rest forever in a foreign land. These mummies aren't kings or members of the elite. They were ordinary laborers, men who once worked in factories, mines, and especially for the Calida Natural Gas Company in Lima and Callao. Their bodies were found lying peacefully, wrapped in simple, worn wooden coffins. Beside them were personal belongings, not gold or jewels, but handcrafted items rich in traditional Chinese heritage, a metal lighter and an opium pipe, a once common item in the 19th century. These humble artifacts carried more than just practical value. They held the weight of an entire culture, a forgotten past buried deep in the heart of South America. The presence of these mummies isn't just physical evidence of a turbulent era of migration. It's a powerful reminder of a little-known chapter in Peruvian history, the first wave of Chinese migration in the mid-19th centuries. At the time, with the sugar and cotton industries booming, thousands of Chinese, mainly from Guangdong, left their homeland to work on plantations, in factories, and on infrastructure projects across Peru. Life for them was far from easy. They toiled under harsh conditions, lived in poverty, and were often victims of racial discrimination from the local population. Yet it was these very individuals who quietly laid the foundation for what would become a lasting Chinese cultural presence in Peru. The burial goods found with the mummies were not just daily items, they were testaments to the fact that wherever humans go, they carry with them their identity. A small opium pipe may represent a habit, but in this context, it becomes evidence of a community that once lived, loved, suffered, and is now honored through the dust of time. Archaeologists believe the 3 mummies are just the beginning. They suspect many more remains of Chinese immigrants are scattered across this area, still hidden, still untouched. That means there are countless untold stories, forgotten memories, and an entire lost chapter of history waiting to return to the light. It's sobering to think that in an age where we can connect with one another at the touch of a screen, there are people who were completely forgotten for over a century. This discovery isn't just an archaeological find, it's a powerful reminder that every life, no matter how small or anonymous, plays a role in shaping history. And maybe, just maybe, those Chinese immigrants from so long ago never truly left. They're still here, present in the wooden coffins, the rusted lighter, the faded wisps of opium smoke that disappeared into the air more than 100 years ago. The journey from Guangdong to Lima was more than a migration across oceans. It was the passage of hope, pain, and a culture swept into the currents of history. And today, thanks to the dedication of archaeologists, those stories are slowly being brought back to life, as a tribute to the souls who once lived, once dreamed, and once sacrificed in silence. They are not just mummies. They are witnesses of a turbulent time, symbols of resilience, and a living memory of the immigrant spirit. And here's a question for all of us. How much more of our history still lies quietly beneath our feet, waiting to be heard? The answer may be difficult to find, but one can only hope that one day, archaeologists will uncover it. The vampire grave in Bulgaria. Recently, an archaeological discovery has caused a stir near the border between Bulgaria and Greece when the famous archaeologist Nikolai Ovcharov unearthed a vampire skeleton dating back to the 13th century. This skeleton is believed to belong to a man around 40 to 50 years old, buried with a special ritual meant to prevent the unexplained death of a person rising again from the dead. This find offers a fascinating glimpse into the ancient beliefs and unusual burial customs of medieval people. The discovery was made on October 9th during excavations at the ancient city of Perperikon in southern Bulgaria, once the center of the Thracians over 5,000 years ago. There, archaeologists found the skeleton pierced through the chest by an iron bar weighing about 2.2 pounds, believed to be part of a plow blade. Part of the left leg was disarticulated and placed separately from the rest of the body. It is believed that this was done to prevent the vampire from escaping the grave. According to Ovcharov's research, similar rituals were often applied to cases of unusual deaths, such as suicides or those thought capable of rising after death. This discovery is not the first of its kind in the Bulgaria-Greece border area. Bojidar Dimitrov, director of the National Historical Museum in Sofia, stated that at least 100 vampire skeletons have been found in this region. One notable find occurred in 2012 when the skeletons of twin vampires were excavated in the city of Sozopol near Perperikon. These two skeletons were buried with very special rituals. The first skeleton was of a man with his feet tied together and an iron bar piercing his chest. The second was believed to be a notorious 13th century pirate named Krivich. Instead of an iron bar, a sharp stone was driven through his chest, adding to the mystery and intrigue of these finds. Additionally, archaeologists discovered that sometimes animals such as cats or chickens were buried alongside the dead. This reflects the belief that these animals would watch over the vampire, protecting the living from the return of the dead's restless spirits. These findings not only provide a deep insight into the worldview and beliefs of ancient people, but also raise many questions about how ancient cultures faced death and the dangers from the spiritual realm. Were vampires truly based on reality, or are they just part of the haunting legends of history? That's a tough question to answer, isn't it? The dried blood of King Louis XVI. On January 21, 1793, King Louis XVI of France was executed by guillotine during the French Revolution. This event not only marked the end of a dynasty, but also became a significant part of a tumultuous history. Legend has it that when the 39-year-old king's head fell to the ground, witnesses quickly gathered it and dipped their handkerchiefs into his blood as a way to preserve the symbol of the revolution. Centuries later, this story became more than just legend when scientists discovered a dried gourd containing a handkerchief soaked in the blood of Louis XVI. This gourd later became a treasured artifact, decorated with portraits of revolutionary heroes and inscribed with the words, "On January 21, Maximilien Bourdaloue dipped his handkerchief into the blood of Louis XVI after his execution." According to the legend, Bourdaloue placed the handkerchief inside the gourd and commissioned its decoration. This relic comes from a historically turbulent era, but for more than a decade, it was kept by a family in Italy. Recently, scientists from France and Spain studied the gourd and uncovered some astonishing findings. By analyzing the blood sample inside, they found genetic markers matching descriptions of Louis XVI, including blue eyes. However, since there was no DNA sample from Louis's direct descendants for comparison, the verification remains inconclusive. Still, the research made a major leap when they discovered a genetic link between the blood in the gourd and a mummified skull believed to belong to King Henry IV, an ancestor of Louis XVI. Through gene comparison, the research team confirmed a blood relation between Louis XVI and Henry IV, despite being separated by 7 generations. Both shared a rare genetic marker, providing strong evidence that the blood in the gourd could indeed belong to Louis XVI. This finding supports the theory that these items are not just revolutionary memorabilia, but important relics of the French royal lineage. Additionally, the study revealed an intriguing story about the head of King Henry IV, who was assassinated in 1610 at age 57. For 2 centuries, his head was bought and sold at auctions or kept in private collections. It wasn't until 2010 that scientists found evidence confirming the head's identity through facial features matching 16th century portraits, along with carbon dating, 3D scans, and X-rays. However, the 2010 research lacked DNA evidence, and its conclusions faced some skepticism. Everything changed when Carles Lalueza Fox, co-author of the recent study and a specialist at the Institut de Biologia Evolutiva in Barcelona, stated that the new evidence increased the likelihood of a familial relationship between the owner of the head and the blood in the dried gourd by 250 times. He added that combining forensic evidence, historical data, and folklore makes it highly unlikely these artifacts do not belong to these two murdered kings. The genetic data now obtained from Louis XVI can be used to decode the genome of France's last king and potentially identify his living relatives. 20 coffins moving inside the ancient tomb at the same time. In 1978, while the Chinese Air Force was constructing a radar repair factory in the mountainous region of Sui County, now Suzhou City, Hubei Province, an unexpected archaeological event occurred. This became one of the most important and dangerous archaeological discoveries ever made by the Chinese military. When soldiers used explosives to level the ground, they had no idea that the large crater created by the blast led directly to an ancient tomb. Upon entering, the soldiers were amazed by the vivid and colorful murals decorating the tomb walls. Realizing the cultural significance of the site, they immediately reported the discovery to their superiors. Soon after, archaeologists from the Hubei Provincial Museum arrived to survey and photograph the tomb in its entirety. The event attracted intense media attention, with military helicopters dispatched to record every moment. Experts tried to open the massive stone door guarding the tomb but encountered difficulties. The door was believed to be installed very securely, likely to prevent tomb robbers from gaining access. After unsuccessful attempts, they called on the military for assistance. When the tomb door finally opened, the soldiers were shocked to see 20 coffins inside moving. However, archaeologists discovered that the movement was mainly caused by the coffins floating on water inside the tomb. As the large door opened, water began to flow out, causing the coffins to shift. Scientists theorized that the tomb had likely experienced an earthquake or flood in the past, breaking an underground water channel. As a result, the coffins and artifacts inside the tomb were submerged underwater and faced severe risk of damage. After archaeologists carried out salvage operations and opened the 20 coffins, they were stunned to find the remains of young women inside. Based on their clothing and the musical instruments buried with them, experts believe these women were probably dancers interred to perform music and dance for the tomb's owner in the afterlife. Finally, archaeologists located the tomb owner's coffin. This lacquered wooden coffin, containing the owner's remains, was placed in the eastern chamber. Notably, it was encased in a special bronze coat designed to allow the deceased spirit freedom of movement. Preliminary tests confirmed that this was the tomb of King Zheng Ho Yi, an important historical figure from the Warring States period. In addition to the 20 coffins, more than 15,000 artifacts were excavated from the tomb, including musical instruments, lacquered wood objects, gold and jade, weapons, chariots, bamboo and reed items, and 6,239 bronze artifacts. Among these treasures, a set of 65 bronze bells stood out for their exquisite design and exceptional sound, regarded as a national treasure of China. Intact Nazi German plane found at the bottom of the sea. A Nazi German plane was recently discovered at the bottom of the sea off the coast of the island of Rhodes, Greece, and it is remarkably well preserved, beyond experts' expectations. According to the Daily Mail, the newly found plane is a Junkers 52, the main transport aircraft used by Nazi Germany. It is unclear what the plane was doing in the area at the time, but the Nazis had controlled Rhodes since 1943. The Ju-52 could have been used to transport troops or military equipment. Currently, it is also unknown why the Nazi German Air Force's Ju-52 sank or how many people were on board at that time. The wreck was found at a depth of about 243 feet by a professional diver using GPS equipment. The diver also recorded video footage as evidence. The plane was found in surprisingly good condition, missing only the engine at the front and the cockpit's protective glass. Experts expressed amazement that the aircraft remained almost completely intact after decades underwater. The machine guns are still in place, and the instrument panel still shows the last recorded readings. It is not yet known if the plane sank carrying treasure or any other cargo, but experts and archaeologists are continuing their search, hoping to uncover more information about this aircraft in the near future. Mass tomb of mummies in Peru. Not far from Peru's capital, Lima, at an ancient ruin site called Pachacamac, archaeologists from the Free University of Brussels Belgium, made a shocking discovery: a mass tomb containing about 80 sets of remains buried deep underground, amid ruins that seemed silent for centuries. What makes this find especially remarkable are the cloth wrappings around the skeletons, indicating these were not ordinary deaths. They were mummified in a solemn ritual. Among them, the most notable are two skeletons curled up in a fetal position, a detail that is far from accidental. This was a traditional burial ritual of the Ixma people, a civilization that ruled this land for over 500 years before being conquered by the Incas in the 15th century. For the Ixma, death was not the end, but a journey of rebirth returning to Mother Earth. They built one of the largest and most sacred cities in the region. Pachacamac became a major religious center for nearly 2 millennia. Pilgrims from across the Andes region flocked here to pray, make offerings, and seek guidance from ancient gods. However, the recently excavated tomb contains not only the remains of adults, likely pilgrims who died on their quest for salvation, but also many children's remains. Scientists hypothesize that these children did not die of natural causes. They may have been sacrificed to the gods, a chilling yet common ritual in ancient civilizations, rooted in the belief that children's pure lives were the most sacred offering to bring rain, good fortune, or to ward off disaster. Inside the tomb, archaeologists also discovered a wooden false head and a clay mask, items with deep ritual significance. According to researchers, these were placed alongside the bodies not merely for decoration, but because the Ixma believed the wooden head and clay mask would help the deceased soul cross into the afterlife and reach paradise. What puzzles experts most is that the Ixma left no written artifacts, no records or inscriptions, only objects, architecture, and scattered traces beneath the earth. Therefore, identifying the individuals buried here or the exact role of these items remains an unsolved mystery. In surviving ancient illustrations, we see Ixma devotees climbing the temple steps at Pachacamac, carrying hopes, pains, and reverence. Today, with the discovery of this mass tomb, it seems their voices, those who have passed, are finally echoing through modern times, reminding us that no matter how many centuries time buries, history always finds a way back. With discoveries like this, we realize history still holds countless secrets waiting to be unraveled. These findings not only change how we understand the past, but also open fascinating new questions about human evolution. Surely in the future, many more surprising discoveries will make us reflect and seek the truth. What do you think about this? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss more intriguing stories. Until next time, goodbye and see you again.